The mountains have made me silent, she said. I went to the Engadin, and its beauty made me utterly silent. I was speechless at the wonder of it all. It was a tremendous experience. I wish I could hold that silence, that living vibration, moving silence. When you talk of silence, I suppose you mean this extraordinary experience I have had. I really would like to know if you are referring to the same quality of silence as I experienced. The effect of this silence lasted for a considerable period, and now I go back to it. I try to recapture and live it in, live in it. You are made silent by the Enchiridion, another by a beautiful human form, and another by a master, by a book, or by drink. Through outward stimulation, one is reduced to a sensation which one calls silence, and which is extremely pleasurable. The effect of beauty and grandeur is to driven away one's daily problem and conflict, which is a release. Through outward stimulation, the mind is made temporarily quiet. It is perhaps a new experience, a new delight, and the mind goes back to it as a remembrance when it is no longer experiencing it. Remain in the mountains is probably not possible, as one has to be back for business, but it is possible to seek that state of quietness through some other form of stimulation, through drink, through a person, or through an idea, which is what most of us do. These various forms of stimulation are means through which the mind is made still. So the means become significant, important, and we become attached to them. Because the means give us the pleasure of silence, they become dominant in our lives. They are our vested interest, a psychological necessity which we defend and for which it's if necessary we destroy each other. The means take the place of experience, which is now only a memory. Stimulus may vary, each having a significance according to the conditioning of the person. But there is a similarity in all stimulation, the desire to escape from what is, from our daily routine, from a relationship that is no longer alive, and from knowledge which is always becoming stale. You choose one kind of escape, I another, and my particular brand is always assumed to be more worthwhile than yours. But all escapes, whether in the form of an ideal, the cinema, or the church, is harmful, leading to the illusion and mischief. Psychological escapes are more harmful than the obvious ones, being more subtle and complex and therefore more difficult to discover. The silence that is brought about through stimulation, the silence that is made me up through this discipline, control, resistance, positive or negative, is a result, an effect, and so not creative, it is dead. It's a silence which is not reaction, a result, a silence which is not the outcome of stimulation, of sensation, a silence which is not put together, not a conclusion. It comes into being when the process of thought is understood. Thought is the response of memory, of determined conclusions, conscious or unconscious. The memory dictates action according to the pleasure and pain. So ideas control action, and hence there is a conflict between action and idea. This conflict is always with us, and as it intensifies, there is an urge to be free from it. But until this conflict is understood and resolved, any attempt to be free from it is an escape. As long as action is approximating to an idea, conflict is inevitable. Only when action is free from idea does conflict cease. But how can action ever be free from idea? Surely there can be no action without there being ideation first. Action follows idea, and I cannot possibly imagine any action which is not the result of idea. Idea is the outcome of memory, idea is the verbalization of the memory, idea is an inadequate reaction to challenge to life. Adequate response to life is action, not ideation. We respond ideationally in order to safeguard ourselves against action. Idea limits action. There is safety in the field of ideas, but not in action. So action is made subservient to idea. Idea is the self protective pattern of action. In intense crisis, there is direct action, freed from idea. It is against this spontaneous action that the mind had disciplined itself, and as with most of us, the mind is dominant. Ideas act as a brake on action, and hence there is a friction between action and ideation. My if I find my mind wandering off to the happy experience of the indignine, is it an escape to relieve that experience in memory? Obviously, the actual is your life in the present. Crowded street, your business, your immediate relationship. If these were pleasing and gratifying, the inactine would fade away. But as the actual is confusing and painful, you turn to an experience which is over and dead. You may remember that experience, but it is finished. You give it life, and only through memory. It is like pumping life into a dead thing. The present being dull, shallow, we turn to the past or look to the self protected future. To escape from the present inevitably leads to illusion. To see the present as it actually is without condemnation or justification is to understand what is, and then there is action which brings about a transformation in what is.